Okay, hello, my friends. My name is Darren Gertis. I'm just a professor trying to provide context in the war in Ukraine. The last 2 days were some of the most intense bombing in the entire war between Russia and Ukraine. Last night, the temperature dropped a little bit, but you were seeing this kind of nonsense coming from the Russians that, like, well, we're not really doing this. Let's look at this. So here, Sputnik, and RT and TASS and Pravda. There's a number of arms of Russian state media propaganda. Sputnik came out and said this: Russia's massive strikes in Ukraine. Why now? Ukraine chose RT, and I don't pronounce that here because sometimes I get demonetized or YouTube penalizes me for using that word. Ukraine chose RT, so Russia chose precision, all caps, strikes against their military installations. Well, who are you going to believe? Russian state media or your lying eyes? Okay, here's why Zelensky's T state earned every hit that it took. T and sabotage. Ukraine is a T state because sabotage operations have always been a strong suit of Ukrainian nationalists, says a military analyst. They're trying to intimidate the Russian population with recent aerial strikes. No, that's not what they're doing at all. They're trying to destroy the logistics that is being sent at their population with inside drones or missiles or what have you. Okay, Ukraine's drone war, a desperate move. Okay, so is it a desperate move or is it smart? I think it's smart. This escalation came from Zelensky's Western handlers, especially the UK, believes this military analyst Alexei Lenkov, with the aim to drain Russia's air defense. I mean, it's almost laughable that they're saying the aim is to drain Russia's air defense. No, the aim is to destroy the logistics, to gain leverage in talks, to sabotage Russia-US diplomacy. No. That's not it at all. It's like this weird mirroring effect. Okay, backed by the Brits and the Americans, the entire op was backed by U.S. Star Shield satellite system and Western ISR assets. Experts say Britain likely played a direct role transmitting intel and identifying targets. Western tactics, Ukraine's war, British blueprint to destabilize states. We saw the same script in the 90s and early 2000s. Okay. So this is the kind of thing that the Russians are putting out in their state media on Sputnik. Payback for Drone T. Ukraine launched hundreds of drones daily since May, targeting Russian cities, civilians, even kindergartens. No, they're not targeting kindergartens. The Russians are targeting kindergartens and targeting civilians. This is Air T. Russia's response is inevitable. Stats are 300 plus Ukrainian drones are intercepted daily across Russia. Decapitating Ukraine's war machine, we strike only military targets, factories making drones, missiles, and NATO weapons. Unlike Ukraine, we don't target civilians. They're actually putting this out there. You can see hundreds of articles in the free press showing that Russia is targeting civilians daily. And yet they put this out there. And it'll be picked up by lazy newspapers in Asia and Africa who are saying, see, this is what the Ukrainians are, and our Russian brethren are under this attack. Crippling NATO logistics, ports like Odessa are hubs for Western arms. They might actually get one right here because they are hubs for Western arms. Russia destroyed 100 containers with drone boats, switchblade munitions, artillery shells. Okay, let's say that they did. Let's just, for the sake of hypothetical whatever, what about the apartment buildings in Kyiv where innocent civilians are hit daily? Like, okay. And then finally, Russian strikes are not symbolic. No, they go after everything with meaningful precision, right? Every Russian strike is verified, targeting only military production sites and infrastructure. We hit the backbone of Ukraine's war machine, not civilians. No, they're hitting civilians regularly, daily, intentionally, but this is the kind of nonsense they put out. But why wouldn't they put that out as nonsense when Putin puts this out? I'm going to get to the political I'm not going to get to the political issues here, but you see, it was not us who organized the coup d'etat in Ukraine. We were all told at the time that there should be democracy, elections. They, the West, organized a coup d'etat, and that's it. A bloody one at that. And then they went on suppressing Donbass, killing people from helicopters and planes. Ridiculous. Now, that happened to be the administration that was sympathetic to you. They simply forced us to do what we are doing now, waging war. The Ukrainians forced you to do what you're doing now. So if Sputnik is lying, like as they are here, it's because he's lying. I mean, it's all connected. Okay, and it gets even worse. You can't believe this one. Russia has requested a meeting of the UN Security Council in connection with the action of European states trying to prevent a peaceful settlement of the Ukrainian crisis. Even reading that paragraph, I was like, I could hardly pronounce it. I don't even know how to comment on this, says Anton Goroshenko. Just read the statement below. It's a direct quote. Okay, quote, the patience of our enemies in the UN who are lurking in anticipation of the results of the Istanbul talks and President Trump's reaction to them seems to have run out. European sponsors of the Kyiv regime have requested a meeting on humanitarian situation in Ukraine for May 29th. We have decided to respond mirror and request a meeting in connection with the threats to international peace and security due to the actions of a number of European states attempting to prevent efforts to peacefully resolve the Ukrainian crisis. What? Okay, but this is what the Russians do. It's waging war through diplomacy. Okay. Meanwhile, last night, Russia says it downed 99 Ukrainian drones overnight. Major hits reported on Murom, forest fires, factory damage, evacuation alerts across multiple regions. Ukraine says Russia launched 60 drones and struck homes and industry in Sumy and Dnipro. Okay. Russia and North Korea are also outraged by Trump's Golden Dome missile defense project. It's really weird how they're reacting to this idea of a defensive shield that uses space technology in order to have like an Iron Dome, like they have in Israel. A Golden Dome is what Trump was calling it, to be a defense over the U.S. But they're flipping out about this. North Korea described this project as the peak of smugness, arrogance, and lawlessness. Wait. A defensive missile shield over your country is a peak of smugness, defensiveness, and lawlessness, and accused Washington of being obsessed with militarizing space. The Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman, Maria Zakharova, also condemned the initiative, stating that the Golden Dome project directly undermines strategic stability and calls the U.S. to abandon its plans to deploy weapons in space. So, okay, what you're doing is fine. It's not undermining anything. It's actually creating stability. But a Golden Dome missile protection shield over the U.S. would be, yeah, okay. Meanwhile, 990 Russians off the battlefield. That's kind of low. 2 tanks, 1 armored fighting vehicle, 17 artillery systems, 64 vehicles, and fuel tanks day over day. And the numbers are really interesting in May. It was into the 1,200, 1,100, 13, 12, 12, 13. During the Russian ceasefire, it was actually higher than it is in the last few days. Look at this. During the so-called ceasefire, there was 1,200, 1,300, 1,310. In the last few days, it was 1050, 1130, 1,990. It's hard to keep up. Okay, so what happened yesterday? Ukraine shot down 43 drones overnight. Russia launched 60 Shahed drones, and 43 were shot down. A few were, electronically warfare-related knockdown. But look at the ISW. This is the Russian drone and missile strikes on Ukraine in January 1, 2025 to May 26, 2025. Look at the number, like the strikes yesterday and the day before were the highest ever. Highest ever combined 2 days ago. And then 3 days ago. And then 2 days ago, not including last night, but 2 days ago, overnight, was the highest drone strikes with a few missiles as well. Okay, so that's where we are. Now, I talked about this yesterday. It was really interesting. Investigators discovered a note detailing new controlled algorithm inside one of the drones Russia launched on Ukraine, according to The Economist. So I'm thinking, like, what they wrote something on the side of the drone. They left it on, they scratched it on purpose, or what was going on? Okay, well, a Russian engineer sympathetic to Ukraine left that note in a Shahed drone that was captured intact, detailing live control mechanism over Telegram. That's a whole different thing. I mean, I thought it was just like some kind of note, like you Telegram 649060532, and they looked it up, and lo and behold, but no, this was somebody trying to sabotage the Russians from Russia. Early this morning, a Ukrainian drone strike targeted Murom instrument making plant in Russia's Vladimir region. The outcome of the attack remains unconfirmed. The damage is yet to be confirmed. And then we see this footage of a powerful strike on the deployment of FSB officers in Russia's Belgorod region. This is the after effect. Here is the before look of the building. Here's the after. Yeah, you get the idea. And the location of it can be confirmed as well. Okay, in Pokrovsk region, the Russian invaders led 53 assaults. That's high given the casualties of only 900 some odd. Russian forces recently advanced in Sumy Oblast near Vovchansk, Liman, and Toretsk. Putin's forces seize Ukraine's Sumy region. So the Russians are in Sumy, like, make no mistake about it. They haven't gotten very far, but I'll show you what I'm talking about here. Russian forces have entered 4 villages in the Sumy region. Residents have been evacuated earlier, so no civilians were harmed. Fighting continues in nearby settlements. And we see this. Evacuated zones are now under Russian control, but defenses hold elsewhere, according to authorities. Ukraine's response. Okay, so Russia's latest anti-drone armor, it's not working. They're field testing and trying things. So they put these large metal spikes welded to a tank, like a porcupine, so that the drone can't get through. But if a drone gets through an open hatch, that's problematic for that vehicle. Ukrainian 24th Mechanized Brigade successfully repelled another Russian assault near Chasiv Yar. Russian forces using motorcycles, heavy equipment, attempted to storm the area, but were eliminated. I just can't understand how in a drone age, the tactics are still massing your forces together to move forward. It just doesn't, I guess being by yourself is bad, but this seems very bad as well. It's just juicy targets. Okay, this is Ukrainian cluster munitions, Heimer strikes on Russian troops. All these little pockmarks over here, that's part of the cluster munitions. Like if I move this, you can see that there's pockmarks, or, well, let me see. You can see the pockmarks popping. Yeah. Just thought you'd find that interesting. And a Russian infantryman finishes off an undetonated FPV drone with an accurate stick strike. So the drone comes to the ground, and this guy decides he's going to hit it with a stick to immobilize it. This is the after. There's a before and there's an after. This is the after. This is before. Do not hit a drone, an armed drone, with a stick, because bad things are going to happen. Okay. On the ground, some parts of the front line is completely covered with fiber optics. Like, this is what it looks like on the ground because of all the drones in the air. Look at the guy walking with the stuff like attached to his feet. Okay. This lady is pretty incredible. Natalia Haberchuk, former kindergarten teacher turned Ukrainian air defense soldier, successfully intercepted a Russian KH-101 with a Igla-Man portable air defense system. Kindergarten kids probably never thought that kindergarten teacher would be doing that, but probably neither did she. Magyar birds are at work. Pilots from the Kilma team showcased 40 kilometers of flights using grassroots fiber optic tech. FPV drone flew 42 kilometers and then, you got to see this, struck a tank inside of a hangar. 42 kilometers away. They're watching this. These tanks they think that these tanks are safe. All it has to do is get through an open door or window, and yeah, and they're not safe anymore. You can imagine what's about to happen here. Okay, elsewhere in Russia, the decrepit Shadow Fleet, wherever it goes, there's oil spills. And there's now oil spills in Sakhalin. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I didn't know where that was, but I'm learning geography. Just above Japan, off Russia's coast, Sakhalin. Yeah, okay. Another oil spill from the Shadow Fleet. Previously unknown Russian cyber group Laundry Bear is behind the 2023 hack of the Dutch police, say the Dutch intel services AVID and MIVD. NOS reports, backed very likely by Moscow, because Moscow's been at war with you and you didn't know it for the last, decade. There are still people who engage in serious conversation with Russian bots. If this is you, understand this is what an AI-driven bot farm actually is. It looks something like this, and it doesn't care. It's just going to keep arguing with you and tying your time and attention up. Better to be doing something productive. They fly low, strike hard. Ukrainian FPV drone pilots are rewriting modern warfare. Unmanned systems. Listen to this. This is from the defense of Ukraine. Unmanned systems, drones, inflict 80% of the damage on the battlefield. It's like, I've given this analogy, it's very similar to what IEDs did to servicemen in Iraq and Afghanistan. That was the main tool of fighting. Drones are the main tool of fighting here. Okay, a couple last things. Darth Putin, on this day, 1997, Russia and NATO signed the Founding Act on the Mutual Relations, Cooperation, and Security, in which we promise not to use force on anyone and respect borders. It makes no mention of any promise by NATO not to admit new members. Odd, given that it's so very important to us. Good point. And then finally, I'll leave you with this. Artillery's emotional support, the 148th Artillery Brigade. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the likes, the shares, the subscribes, and thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.